Well, DMT stands for dimethyltryptamine, and it's a very powerful drug. In fact, it could quite be the most powerful drug out there because a lot of people say that it does occur naturally in our own brains in something called the pineal gland. The thing about it is that it can be a very dangerous drug. And for me, I used it and I experienced intense hallucinations. But, really it did lead me to become psychotic. And, my recommendation is that if it's really, really something you want to experience, go out to the Amazon jungle or get into some kind of program where they show you how to do it. Because on my own, I wound up in mental institutes, and it was a very dramatic experience for me. It's a drug that, comes out of plants that are, down in the jungle, and there's shamans, and there's rituals, and there's ways to go about it to where you're not on your own, using the drug like simply to get high. If you want to experience a spiritual experience in that sense with that drug, then you can do it with the shamans down in the jungle. But whatever you do, I do not recommend doing it on your own because it's a very intense thing where, left to my own devices, I'm just going to go crazy. Also, the solution is not necessarily to go out and do that, go to the jungle and find the shamans and all that stuff. I mean, we can experience the same kind of spiritual enlightening by just taking a look at some spiritual practices. We can meditate, we can pray, and through those things, I know for me, I experience a connection with a power greater than myself. And, I don't have to, use DMT anymore. I can take a look at yoga, Kundalini yoga, and meditation, and the chakras, the 7 chakras. And, there's ways to go about, having a spiritual experience without the use of drugs like DMT. So I would really suggest going down that route and doing, the natural, way to go about it instead of doing something that's, quick and easy. Try the practice, take up yoga, meditation, get in the prayer. I know for me, I experienced great joy and love, from power greater than myself by going out in nature, just taking walks. Exercise is a great way to feel like that natural high, when dopamine is released, when I get on the treadmill or, the elliptical or whatever. I can have spiritual experiences by going in the sauna. That's a very great way to do it. I meditate in the sauna, And so I encourage you to try other methods besides, keeping that closed-minded view where I have to take a psychedelic drug to reach, another higher state of consciousness. There is other, ways to go about that.